Everyone, turn on. The mic is on. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to come out of executive session, if I might. In a second.
Second.
Bless you.
Bless you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And a motion to seal the minutes of executive session. If I could get a motion on that.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we are out of executive session officially and sealed, and town council meeting beginning at 7:02. If we could have a roll call, please, from our town clerk. This is Amatramo. Present.
Greg LeBoissonniere.
Here.
Kerry McGee.
Here.
Karen Carlson.
Here.
Deborah Bacon.
Here.
Stephen Delaney.
Here.
Nicholas Gorham.
Here.
Okay, and I understand from Mrs. Bacon, and we have a guest here, and I'll let her explain it to introduce, or actually, the Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead. Oh, okay, district report. All right, Mr. Spearman, you have our guest here today to begin us on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right, stand right there with me. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if we could just bow our heads for a moment and thank our Lord above for all of our blessings. We know that this past weekend was hard for all the families that have lost loved ones in service to our nation in many, many different wars and continue to serve. And we thank those families for allowing their family members, whether it be husbands, sons, daughters, wives, to help protect our nation. And this, we understand, is a noble cause, and every day is their Memorial Day as they go on through life. So thank you, Lord, and please bless all of us down here today and this coming summer. Amen. And Mr. Spearman, evacuation plan, please.
Yes, take an emergency, the two exits in the rear, and just go to your right or left and take you outside.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. President's comments, just a couple tonight. And first, I have we had done a letter of condolences on behalf of the town council to the Kuipers family. We lost Chet, a good Coventry resident and citizen and volunteer for many, many years. And I just found tonight in my desk here a thank you to the Coventry Town Council. It says, "Thank you. What more can I say? We are so grateful to you for honoring Chet with a proclamation in his memory. He loved being Santa and lighting the Christmas tree for so many years. He loved making children happy. Thank you." Signed by Nancy, Jim, Danielle, Ashley, and Bailey Kuipers. So I did want to acknowledge their thank you. Secondly, and I know that I've been in discussion with our interim town manager, but we have news that we have been successful. I believe that is the case, Mr. Delaney, with hiring a new finance director, and I figured I'd let you do the explanation as far as the process that the town went through, because I really had nothing to do with it. So
yes,
it's yours.
We'll be getting a release out probably tomorrow, but we've been successful in getting a new finance director who will start with us in a couple of weeks, actually about 3 weeks. So it's been we can breathe a little easier. We're feeling good about that.
That is.
And I'll get a notice out to everybody tomorrow on the details.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Very good. That is obviously good news. So that's basically my 2 points on President's comments. And at this time, we have we have 2 proclamations to honor members that have been on the Planning Commission for several years, and in some cases, many years. I understand that Mr. Aslan, I believe you're here, and I don't think Mrs. Fagan is here, right? I don't think she's in the audience tonight. So we will get that to her, but if you would be so kind, Wayne, to come forward and we'll present this at this time. I know you've been on a lot of committees.
Here, where? Here.
Good citizens. Great. And again, basically the letter, dear Mr. Aslan, at this time the Town Council would like to thank you for your many years of service to the Town of Coventry, serving as a member of the Planning Commission. Please find the enclosed certificate of recognition from the Town Council, along with their sincere thank you for a job well done. And the certificate is right here, recognition. I know that we do appreciate all the good work you've done, and I noticed that that's the date is not there right now, but it will be momentarily. And I thank you very much, Wayne. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne. 29th day of May. Thank you, sir.
Official now.
It's official, 29th of May. Thanks a lot. And we will get that up there in a minute. All right, next on the agenda is before approval of Town Council minutes. We have 3 actual minutes, April 16th, April 19th, and April 26th. As far as the dates go, why don't we, if it's all okay with you folks, do them one at a time. So first is the April 16th meeting under B4. I assume you've had time to look through that, and I'll accept the motion to approve at this time.
April 16th, I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the minutes for April 16th? Okay, and if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Next one was the April 19th, which was a brief meeting. It was a Thursday, and we have that one page in front of us. Do we have a motion to accept those minutes from the 19th?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, a second? Okay, and I just want to clarify, Mr. Gorham, were you there at the 19th? Because I have you listed as being present. That, it was the night where we had the appointment of Mr. Edward Zika. And I wasn't sure if you were actually at that meeting or not, but
April 19th.
it's a Thursday, it was 19th.
I believe it was not there.
Right, because I believe Mrs. Wilcox took the minutes, correct?
Correct.
That we decided that.
That same meeting interviewed
Mr.
potential
Del-
candidates.
Yes, it was Mr. Delaney that evening also.
Definitely was.
Okay, so with that change is just simply to line out where it says that, and Solicitor Nicholas Gorham, and he was not present. Okay, with that amendment or change, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And the next one we have is April 26th meeting. That was the Thursday where we met across the street at the annex. And do I have a motion to approve these minutes? Do I have a second? Any comments or discussion with this one? Okay, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those minutes of the 16th, 19th, and 26th have all been approved. Okay, next, B5, we have council district updates. Mr. McGee, if you'd like to start us off.
Yeah, I would like to, I'm going to read a little statement I prepared. I thought it was about time to make another public statement. With so much misinformation going around in social media, as stated before, I will not go on social media to prove my point. As election time approaches, I have seen how low some office holders and potential office holders will stoop for a few votes with attempts to assassinate members of this council's character. Another supposed attempt for a recall election is apparently being made. I want to assure my constituents that I have all intentions to continue to make the best decisions I can for the taxpayers to the best of my ability. Leading the recall charge is a person who has just fallen from grace. If it hasn't been done already, I am requesting, out of respect for the taxpayers of Coventry Fire District in District 3, that Mr. Frank Palin immediately resign from the Coventry Fire Board. On another note, I want to remind the taxpayers that this council voted unanimously to further our sewer program, as we've been told for years that was the only way to keep the sewer fund solvent, was to expand it. Our decisions are made by the information given to us by our full-time management staff. After concerns by taxpayers, we decided to audit the complete sewer program. I, along with probably every council person, was appalled at the results of the audit. I still believe in sewers, but it has to be made as affordable as possible, and the funds must be managed correctly. We will get through this. There is no short-term fix, but we will continue to make the difficult decisions like we have had to do since I've been on the council. I will not kick the can down the road for future councils to worry about. They need to be addressed. There has been talk on social media of not to approve the budget. I have seen signs that say students before sewers. They are totally unrelated. The municipal side has reduced their budget. Now it's time for the school to reduce theirs. If the budget is denied, it will cost the taxpayers approximately $5,000 to $10,000 for an all-day referendum that has been attempted by the school department before, and the taxpayers overwhelmingly denied the additional funds. The taxpayers have had enough. I don't think the referendum would pass, and I encourage people to approve the budget as presented. People that know me know that I have governed with integrity and honesty. I will continue to do such, regardless how difficult some people make it. I understand some people will believe what they believe, and I can't change that. That is politics. I have always taken the high road when it comes to politics, and I will continue to do so. I also encourage people to step up and run for political office and try to make a difference. It has been a pleasure to serve District 3 in the town of Coventry, and I will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Mrs. Bacon, District 5.
Yes, I would like to recognize Christian Mathis. We have, this is some good news for once in Coventry. We have in the Scholastic News our own Christian Mathis from Washington Oak Elementary School. He has a little article. I just want to read it. The headline is, "Structured Recess Offers Kids More Ways to Have Fun." I am a student at Washington Oak Elementary School where we have structured recess. Instead of wandering around, wondering what to do like we used to, kids head right to the activity stations that are already set up. That means we have more time to play. Having structured recess has also cut down on bullying at my school. In past, I noticed that kids would argue about what to play and leave some classmates out of games. But now everyone is welcome to play at every station, so no one is ever excluded. I've also discovered some cool new games and made some friends by trying out different stations. This is the article that was put in the Scholastic News that is nationwide, and our own, right here, Washington Oak student, Christian Mathis. Yes. Thank you, Chris. Great job.
Great job. And can I ask what grade you're in? Fifth grade. I have two grandkids that go to Washington Oak, first grade and kindergarten. A good school. And you are a good representative and, in fact, a shining star. So thank you, and thank you for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And continue the good work. You got grade 6, is that into the middle school now? All right, so this is your big year now, grade 5. You're the king of the school, right? All right. Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And thank you, Mrs. Bacon. Mrs. Carlson, District 1, please.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all here tonight. Couple of things. Mr. Wazika has been working on an ad. I want you to just see a little preview. It's going to be in the reminder, second section, back page. And it will... first section, back page. Okay. Okay. We talked about... All right. So anyway, keep an eye out. Tell everybody, instead of just tossing their reminders, please look at this. It's all about the budget for the financial town meeting. It also tells you at the bottom what you need to bring as identification so you can get in and vote. Your water bill won't work, and your National Grid bill won't work. You have to have a photo ID and be a registered voter. And if you have any questions, the school department budget is on the website for coventryschools.net. Also on that website should be the CTA, the Coventry Teachers Alliance contract, which I think is important to understand what's being spent. On the town side, you can go to the town website, and the budget is also on the town website. So if you want to do some homework ahead of time, if anybody, I mean, as Mr. McGee stated, we've got some interesting statements going on out there on Facebook that I think Martians are landing. I don't even know where the stuff's coming from at this point. But anyway, it's an important meeting, June 12th. Please be there. Doors open at 6 at the high school. And this year, it'll be in the gym because we may have a lot of people. Let's see, next. Is the Colonel. Oh, there you are. Can you just tell me by any chance when the next traffic committee meeting will be? Do you know? I don't know the date yet, but it'll be soon. Okay, because I had a question from the people on Richardson. Okay, will you just let them know? Thanks. And my question, the other question I have is, I know we had several applications for municipal and probate court judges. Do we know when we're going to be doing that? I had a couple of residents asking me what's going on because they know that we've received ads and not ads, applications.
Right, it'll be shortly. Right now,
because
the
both
biggest
of those
thing
have
was
expired.
the interim. They're on until they're either replaced or voted again. The most important issues
so maybe after
hiring
the FTM?
a manager, hiring a finance director.
Well, we're filling other applications.
Right.
My question is, I think this is just as important. And
it is.
So do we think after the financial town meeting?
I would say once we could fit it in after the financial town meeting, it'd be okay with me, for sure.
Okay, good. That's good news.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. LeBossiniere, District 2, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to say that we're still working with Representative Nautilillo regarding requested crosswalks across from the community center at Payne Field. It had been requested. The closest one is at Abbott's Crossing, and people have requested when some of the larger activities are going on to have a crosswalk. We're still working with DOT because it is a state road. I also have a question for the Colonel. There were a number of concerns and issues that we were discussing through email regarding the speed and a lighted sign on Calvin Town down on the corner there. Is that what's going to be addressed at this next traffic meeting that you're?
We bought some. We actually are purchasing some signage that we're going to test out on Calvin Town. So it'll be at that meeting, but it might be actually in before that meeting.
Oh, okay. All right. That's I had concerns because, between that, again, still a lot of concerns about some of the large 18-wheelers that are, that move pretty quickly up and down the road. But I know that I've had discussions with Matt McGovern, I believe the name is. He's the safety officer for J.R. Venegro, and he's addressed it with their drivers. I don't really think we can speak for other trucks, but I know that.
I know Situate Town Council was addressing whether the through road could happen.
Right.
Did that go through, or
No, it has not gone through yet.
can speak on behalf of the town council?
I've been asked to do the same, so that meeting is coming up, I think, June 13th. And if you'd like to accompany me, I'd love to have you there. Okay, great, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. District 4, just again, another reminder, I've said this quite often, but it's summer season beginning. The General Nathaniel Green Homestead Association, they're still looking for volunteers to serve as tour guides. You could, it's constantly listed in the Kent County Times. You could either drop by or email them. They have flexible schedules. It's really a gem in Coventry. Directly under General Washington. We should all be proud of it. And if anybody's looking to spend some hours during the summer, I think it'd be rewarding to anyone that wanted to volunteer their time. And I think it would be something where they'd forever remember it. But I just wanted to get that in because, honest to God, I think I read that weekly in the Times that they're still looking for volunteers. Secondly, District 4, I as an email, I had a complaint regarding a dog complaint, which I've passed along to our town manager, and that also in that our colonel's here. I made a copy, and I'll pass that along to you, Colonel, on Lydia Street, and she seems very concerned and upset. And I said that someone would get back to her with, again, whatever the town can do and is able to do regarding the attacks on her dogs as she's walking the street in her neighborhood. And basically that's it for District 4 for me. Next, we have on the agenda a school department report, and I see Vice Chairman Mr. David Florio here. I assume you'll be giving the report tonight.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. President. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mr. McGee, Mrs. Bacon, Mrs. Carlson, Mr. LaBoissoniere, Mr. Gorham, Mr. Delaney, and Ms. Amatrano. How are you this evening? On behalf of the school department and the school committee, I send you our regards. And young man, congratulations. I'm sure Mrs. Mandisi and Paula and Mrs. Jackard are very happy. Please make them aware of what occurred so he can appear before the school committee and we can give you the same honor. All right? Thank you. Okay, school committee report. Coventry High School Social Studies teacher Lisa Johansson is one of 3 finalists for the Rhode Island Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Johansson was honored as Coventry's choice for Teacher of the Year during our opening day ceremony in August of 2017. Lisa had her final interview with the Rhode Island Department of Education Thursday, May 3rd. We are very proud to once again have one of Coventry's amazing educators recognized at the state level. Also, congratulations to Coventry Public Schools Director of Finance, Ms. Sarah Mignorelli. Ms. Mignorelli was selected as the Rhode Island Association of School Business Officials School Business Official of the Year for the 2017-2018 school year. It is a great honor for Sarah's own professional organization to recognize what we have known for this past year. The value she brings to an organization, along with the honor, comes the opportunity to award a $1,000 scholarship to a senior from Coventry High School. Sarah awarded this scholarship to Jacob Pimentel, who plans on using the money towards his degree in media design and graphic arts at Johnson & Wales University. Also, Mr. President, this was a position that you pushed for,
Yes,
and you pushed hard for, and we have one of the best.
I agree.
And thank you very much.
Congratulations to her, that's for sure.
Thank you, sir. Also, Congratulations to our high school teachers, Janine Nestor and Lori Masterson, and students in the Coventry High School Transition Program who won the Empowerment First Poster Contest held by the Rhode Island Transition Life Skills Network. The poster they created will now be distributed statewide to businesses, schools, and programs as evidence that all of us, including individuals with significant disabilities, are capable of full participation in integrated employment and community life. 32 Coventry High School's world language students received the seal of biliteracy. The seal signifies they have passed a rigorous assessment and demonstrated proficiency in a foreign language. This seal of biliteracy is recognized on their diploma. Thank you to our world language teachers for their dedication and passion. This recognition is so crucial for our students who will be competing for positions in a global economy. And finally, 69 seniors were recognized at the Seniors Award Night held Thursday, May 17th at Coventry High School. Numerous awards and scholarships were awarded for community members in individual departments. Coventry High School Principal Mr. Hoban informed the audience that the 2018 graduating class is receiving over $4 million in scholarships. Congratulations to the class of 2018. And you all have a copy of this report.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Florio, for that report. A lot of outstanding good news and things to be proud of, for sure. I appreciate you coming out tonight. All right, next we have C, licenses. And we have a few, but I think they'll go rather quickly. First of all, we have C1. And that is an application by JoJo Cupcake for a 90-day peddler license. The dates would be, as we have in front of us, June 26, 2018 to September 24th, 2018. And we have the application in front of us and the lists of things that have been completed. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. C1 is approved. C2, we have an application by Our Lady of Czestochowa for a Class F license with a dance license. The dates being their annual festival, June 22nd, 2018 through June 24th, 2018. And we have the information in front of us. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Regarding the fees required, do we have any additional motion besides the approval?
That we waive the fee?
Okay, and that would be the fees for all 3 day, the
Yes.
Class F, and also the dance per day.
Right.
Okay, with that motion and amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. So C2. C3, we have also an application, also from application for the Our Lady of Czestochowa for a Class F license for a 1 day, July 8th, 2018. And I understand that is an event planned for that Sunday from 12:30 to 5. It is to party to celebrate Father Jasek's 10th anniversary. Jacek, sorry.
Like
Jacek. Jacek with a J, but pronounced Jacek. Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I, and waiving the fee? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Number 4, application for fireworks by S&T Fireworks, a 60-day peddler license, but it's only going to be for the dates of June 25th, 2018 through July 4th, 2018. The information we have is all approvals, no concerns with the issuing, and it's basically a repeat of last year as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion to
license.
approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr.
Okay.
President,
Yes,
where is
sir?
792 Tyoke Avenue? Where is
I
it? Which
think
one?
that's right next to Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
I do
all right.
believe. Is it Taco Bell?
All right, thank you.
Okay. C5, we have an application by Aisha, also doing business as Coventry Mart. This is for a new vitrilling license. We've got notations that the police have performed the checks, no issues. Department of Health food license, indications, no concerns of issuing of the license from the zoning, and also that the applicant has paid the tangible taxes that were required and lapse filling station taxes, holiday and tobacco licenses have been reinstated, according to Mrs. Lavoy and Mrs. Anatramo. Is that correct? So that would be this last one, and do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, all five have been approved. And moving right along, we have next matter, and I'm not sure, D1. I was wondering if we do want to move those other ones up for the purpose of, if everyone's okay with the E resolutions, before we get into the D discussion of accepting a land donation. We have resolutions. I see Mr. Finnegan here, so while he's here, and Mrs. Letty and Mr. Heatherman, of course, I wasn't going to forget him. If we could get move E2 and E3, I guess would be the whichever order we want to take first. E3 first. Okay. E3, Mr. Finnegan and company, this is, as we have in front of us, the information and documents in front of us, and we have had them since Friday, and if you want to just further explain and tell us about it. Do we have a PowerPoint on this, Mr. Wazika?
We just got the paperwork
Okay.
associated with it.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Finnegan,
So E3, this is the award to Tower Construction. We received the bid packages back. We had 5 bidders
Right.
that submitted bid packages. Tower Construction was low by approximately $500,000. We had extensive interviews and qualification of their bid packages and went through to their sub-level, the work that they included, the scope that they included, and they did a great job at putting their proposal together. And they covered everything that they needed to, and they are more than qualified for the size of the project and the work that they've had and the experience that they've done. So we are ready to proceed and have them get started almost immediately, pending your approval.
okay, this is the big package. We have 5. It
Yes.
looks like 5 different bidders going back to May 10th. And as Mr. Finnegan just mentioned, that Tower Construction Corporation was by far the lowest bidder, and also with good recommendation from Edward Rouse as far as our architect goes, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, any questions or comments regarding this potential award?
Just a couple. That seems like a lot of, they came in way under. in this number that they came in at for their total, do we think, and I don't want to, cast aspersions on somebody I don't know, but, wow, that's a lot of, savings. Do we think they're going to just maybe make it up in change orders at some point?
We're confident they will not. We have an addendum of some specific questions that we went through to specifically address areas of concern that the committee had from our business experience to prevent that, and Tower confirmed that they're on board with everything. The biggest spread between, the biggest item we could find between Tower and the second low bidder, Aalborg, who Aalborg has obviously demonstrated a great track record with the town.
Yeah, they did the building committee.
Exactly.
Right. Schools.
But about 75% of the difference between Tower's price and Aalborg's is work that Tower is going to self-perform with their own staff. So by saving that money on the subs and keeping that work in-house was their justification of how they did it, and it was a legitimate, when we went through all of the work that they're going to be doing, we felt comfortable that that was legitimate savings, and they worked very hard to earn this job. So the town will be the,
And
I'm
they
sure that we'll be
understand
the
the
benefactor.
system of if there are change orders. I see it outlined in the letter,
Well,
which is great in black and white.
They're certainly qualified. They've done work like this. We made it clear. They signed up for it. They short of anything that we couldn't foresee, we've covered it with them.
And I see there's, I do like the idea that it's in black and white, that if there are change orders, they have a process they have to follow, and that the construction period is 360 days from notice to proceed. So when this is given to them, that's when the clock starts ticking.
That's correct.
Now, what about moving the seniors out of the building into Oak Haven?
Into Oak Haven?
I'm sorry.
No.
The
I've been out of town for 10
Biosci-
days, so if you have an
No,
update for me, let me
that
know.
was in the back. That was clicking. Yeah, sorry.
So,
I wanted to see if you were paying
they
attention.
will, when you say the seniors, the DHS, Department of Human-
DHS.
So they confirmed today that they are moving out June 25th.
So are you gonna start the clock ticking?
As soon as you
Soon?
sign, yes. We will, we
'Cause
hope to
there are
award, I
things they can
believe.
do, is
Mr.
what I'm
Gorham,
asking?
We hope to execute this, Mr. Gorham, on the 6th. Mr. Gorham.
Mr. Gorham, hello?
We hope to execute this by the 6th, June 6th. Is that what the target date is, or do you know?
We've already read and we're comfortable with the AIA contract that's referenced. Yes.
Okay, so
We've reviewed all the
If
documents.
approved tonight, Rouse Architects expects to have that 360-day period begin, I believe, June 6th.
So so DHS is not moving out to the end of June?
There's a lot of setup
But they can
work
do
to-
pre-work?
absolutely, yes.
Okay. The other thing was, okay, start date, no change orders, difference in bids. Okay, that's it.
I had a couple comments for myself, if I could.
Thank you.
I had the same concerns. I mean, with the being a low bidder, I mean, it's great for saving the money, but sometimes low bidder isn't always the best. I just wanted to make sure that they're well aware that there will be no extra money, coming in unless some really unforeseen circumstance. And I am also glad that you put the process to have any change orders, because I know how change orders work. I know how it happens, and that's a lot
I
of
can
times.
tell you right now, we already have a change order because the fire department, it was a backflow preventer requirement that they.
Yeah, we needed it.
So there was something that wasn't in the scope that we didn't require. We didn't know that the fire department was going to require. It's not a big deal, but that is one that they're going to.
But I mean, we're still going to be within the budget. That's my biggest
We will-
concern. Small change orders like that, I understand unforeseen things happen, but normally these contractors will hit you up for large change orders to make up the difference for the low bid. I just want to make sure that, I'm sure that you have met with them. I know we've had really good luck working with Aalborg, the second place bidder. And because of the track record they have, I was hoping they would have been the first place. But I understand 500,000 is 500,000, And as long as you're confident and they're going to do as good a job as Aalborg done, and stay within our budget.
We have no reason to think otherwise.
The other thing I noticed in the contract was at any given time, either we or them can walk out on the project. Is that correct? Is that,
No, I don't, I'm not quite sure of the reference to
I
that.
believe I read
They
that.
posted a bond that they have to complete the project. I'll defer to Mr. Gorham on that.
Of course, I should have highlighted it, but there was a section that if there was a termination or suspension, that they could, I think it's on page 72 of 95, the contract is terminated for the owner's convenience and it's termination or suspension. I just want to make sure that this job
Well,
is.
if that's what it says, for our convenience, yes, we can terminate. I wouldn't be surprised if we put that in there.
Solicitor, you've had a chance, you've gone over this all, and I just don't want to,
Yeah, I'm
if-
not
if
aware
they're not
of
happy with all of a sudden the change orders and they're going to try to make it up and they can't get it, I don't want the contractor to be walking out on us.
I'm not aware of a walkout provision in the nature of what you described. Sorry.
Page 72, Article 7.
Article 7.
Let's see. Excuse me.
It says it may be terminated by the owner or the contractor.
So I believe, reading that now, and Tom, you might, I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but I believe if we decide we're not going to finish the project, we have the right to cancel the project as the owner. And any expenses that the contractor has incurred, we have to make them whole on that. So if we get through the process a third of the way and say we're not going to finish this project, we have the right to do that. I believe that's what that paragraph references.
The way it was explained to me was these questions
Article 14.
if that were to happen, where he was not able to perform, for what's saying, and he's not awarded the change orders that you made, if he's not awarded the change orders that we're talking about or whatever, because anything can happen on these projects. The best of my knowledge from talking to Mr. Roast, that goes directly into that $12 million bond that he has to post on his job. So that bond will finish the job.
And I've seen that happen before, where companies fold up in the middle of jobs, and the bonding company comes in and manages to complete a job. I have seen that happen, so hopefully we're not going to get to that point. But I just had some concerns, because the way I read it, the town or the contractor can leave at any time. That's just, I mean, maybe I'm not reading it correctly, I'm not a lawyer, but that's the way I'm reading it.
I think that's boilerplate pretty much in there. I don't think that you would be, I don't think you could put it any other way, to be honest with you.
I just want to make sure our legal counsel has no problem with it. I don't want to end up,
Well, it says that the contract can be terminated, but that doesn't mean you just walk away. It's not without consequences.
Yeah, it's not like he's just
Depending
gonna
on which side terminates it, it may be that one side is responsible for the cost of having terminated.
Yeah.
And that's what Article 14 deals with. I'm not going to get into it here, but
all right. No, as long as you've read,
it's,
we're just getting the highlights and bullet points on it, if you read through, I don't have the complete Article 14, so,
Any contract can be terminated at any given time.
it's a very timely question. Some can, but usually there are consequences, which is what you have to take into consideration.
And the solicitor was involved in developing this
okay.
contract.
No, you can see my concern,
Sure.
so, all right, fine. Thank you. Thank you for your guys' hard work you put into this, appreciate it. And it's good to see it finally get moving, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions of council people?
And they understand it's $12 million, period.
You're as nervous as I
Because
am.
this is a $16 million project, and we're only, when we get done and we pay the whole bill, it's not 12, it's 16, and the taxpayers have to pay it. So we're sure they know.
We've
Yes.
spelt out all the specs, we've gone through it, we have no reason to believe otherwise, so.
Do we, I don't know if we've gotten anything, but do we know what the cost yet is of moving DHS to BioSci? I haven't seen anything. Have we seen anything?
Not yet.
Not yet?
No, but actually the moving.
The moving costs?
No.
No? I hope we will. I'd like to.
I thought you did also, because
But was that to Oak Haven and not real
No, it was
numbers?
The last one was calculated based on the move to bio.
BioSci.
Okay.
I think it was
All right. I
approximately 80.
just don't remember
I
that.
think it was 80 or 81,000.
Yeah, I think it was 80. It was
Okay, and that
tentative anyhow.
was, okay, good. Thank you.
Subject to be determined. Okay, all right, well, we have, thank you, Mr. Finnegan. Also, am I correct that they also, Tower, influential in building the Rhode Island State Police headquarters?
Yes. That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, that came out really, really nice. All right. Well, we have the resolution in front of us. I know there was, emailed earlier today. Hard copy just came to me now. And you, Mr. Gorham, we've looked all this over, even changed one of the paragraphs to now therefore versus no therefore. Kathleen, I think, did that, did she not? Was it Kathleen?
I will take
Oh,
responsibility.
you did? Okay.
I will take
She signed it, all right.
responsibility. I don't know who did it.
All right. Well, we have it in front of us, and it has been reviewed. It is as it says it is, and this was actually the resolution to approve a Tower Construction Corporation, according to the Rouse recommendation.
It's to award the bid and to authorize the town manager to sign the contract
Right.
that we've already reviewed and found acceptable.
Right.
There are
Okay.
2 misspellings of Rouse's name in the 4th paragraph, so
Oh, yeah, Rose?
it's not R-O-W-E-S.
Yeah, that's 1, 2,
That's-
3, the
yes.
fourth
Fourth
paragraph down.
twice, so just note that, please.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. Twice in the fourth paragraph. Thank you. I didn't catch that because I just got it tonight. All right. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's see it.
Thank you very
Congratulations
much.
on that one, and hit the ground running. Yes, Mr. Heatherman.
The last part of that, should that have been now therefore?
Yes.
Should that be changed?
There was change. You probably don't have the one.
Was that?
Behind the 8 ball.
So we just
No,
discussed.
that's what I just discussed.
Mr. Finnegan?
Mr. Finnegan, if you've got a second.
Sir,
Where is
do we
the
need him
Rouse
for
misspelling?
number
See it.
E, where is it? E2?
Well,
I had breakfast in Austin and lunch in Chicago.
I know
so
you did. You're still on jet lag.
He's on Tulsa time.
Yeah.
If we could just discuss right now
Sure.
the E2, which is
Yes.
the Marsh and Long surveying invoice. Obviously, it was done to your satisfaction.
Yes,
Uh,
all this work was
Required. of course.
required, approved. We
Approved.
authorized it back, I believe, in
Okay.
September, October, and then it got invoiced.
Yeah.
And somehow this got tied up, and yes, we need to get this paid because this is a small
We
business.
owe them the money.
Yeah, we owe them the money. They did the work, and
Okay.
I can offer a little bit.
Yes, please do, because I know there might be
There-
one or two questions.
There is a disparity between the town charter bidding requirements and the state
Right.
statute bidding requirements, which is Title 45, Chapter 55. The state allows a CPI adjustment each year to the $10,000 threshold, which means that currently the threshold is around $17,000, which means that this would have been exempt from the state bidding requirements, or the municipal bidding requirements under state law, under the scheme devised by the General Assembly. However, the charter that we have from 1973, although it's been amended a couple times when you look at the text, it doesn't have a CPI adjustment.
Right.
So you're relegated to the number of 10,000. There is an exemption for professional services, and you could say that, I think surveying is a profession. It's regulated as
think it is
such
too.
by the state of Rhode Island. So, I think it's arguably exempt from the bidding requirements, even under our charter, since it is a professional service. It is certainly exempt under the
State.
CPI-adjusted state threshold. So it's up to the council.
That's
I
it.
did not prepare the resolution because I honestly didn't know what you were going to want to do with this, but I can have one prepared if you vote in favor of allowing this. It's really a matter of, do you want to allow it or not? It's $12,000
I would hope there would be a vote in favor. I assure you that we received some advice. We could go back through our minutes, but I'm sure that at the time, we got some input that advised the committee that as professional services, we could award that because we would have never done that.
Right.
So I'm sure that we can provide that, but they did do the work and.
The other thing that the work is the drawings are being used right now.
No.
I mean, they are helping complete the project. So, if there was any transgression at all, and I don't think there was, but if there were, it was very minor. But I really don't think, with the professional services exemption under our charter, I think it
Just to
should
be clear,
approved.
there was no transgression.
Yeah, I said if
we
there
got
was any-
advice,
Sign it,
and I assure you,
Okay.
we didn't.
We got to pay the bills, right? Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is this money coming out of the bond?
Yes.
I understand. No, I know we have to do it.
There are expenses
I
that we
know
have to
there are
pay.
expenses.
It's part of the expense to
No,
build the
I
project,
understand.
so.
I'm not saying it's not, but I
Okay.
just don't understand why Marsh and Long gave, apparently, the town a survey contract on August 29th. It took till September 29th for Waters to sign it, and today is May 29th of the next year.
I thought it
And
was
they
paid.
didn't
As chairman of the committee, I'm very embarrassed to have
To
the
owe them
conversation.
this money
Of course.
this long.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not that I'm not saying it's your end. I suspect it's our end, as usual. Okay.
I think you can approve this with full confidence that there
I
is
think so,
no
too.
transgression at all.
All right, so this
All
is, if we motion to approve, you'll have to write up the resolution. And then
Yeah,
we'll
I
vote on
think,
that when?
Well, we
I
can
mean-
vote on it at the next meeting.
Well, that
Or
won't
you
be
can
the end of June.
Or you can authorize the
Subject to
town
the
council president to sign a resolution that
To-
I've
to approve it.
prepared.
Right.
This is pretty simple, it's to pay a bill of about
Okay.
$12,000.
Yeah, we have to pay the bill. All right,
I'm fine with
a motion?
making that motion to authorize and then also authorizing town council president to sign.
Okay.
This guy money was paid, so.
Our next meeting isn't until, late June,
All right.
so this will expedite.
All right, and second, motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So they'll get paid?
Thank you. Yeah, we'll get it done ASAP. You get it to me, I sign.
I'll have it tomorrow.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Finnegan.
Thank
and
you
go
very
get
much.
some rest.
And Mr. Hatterman, thank you.
And, yeah, right, and Mrs. Letty and Mr. Heatherman, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, let's, if we could, then we'll jump back to D. I do appreciate the temporary pause on that. D for discussion and/or action. Number one, and Mr. Gorham, should we go with you or Mr. Delaney on this one? As far as the explanation thereof and the discussion of it, it's D1. We have the package in front of us.
Do you want me to? Sure. This is the subdivision, which the name of it escapes me at the moment.
Forest
it's-
Ridge.
Thank you, Forest
You're
Ridge on Reed Schoolhouse Road.
Right.
We already had a discussion about this at a previous town council meeting, and it was with Mr. Cronin of Mr. Nolan's office. And the council wasn't, I would say, quite united on exactly what to do. The question was whether or not, I think it came down to how much environmental diligence did you want to undertake in order to be comfortable to accept this land in light of the fact that there was some activity on it. I can tell you this, Mr. Cronin sent copies of proof that all prior zoning violations on that property have been removed, discharged. So there aren't any pending zoning violations on the property. It's simply a question of how worried are you about the condition of the property based on some fairly ambivalent evidence about whether or not it was ever polluted. I don't think there's ever been any proof that it was polluted. On the other hand, there was a discussion with the planner who was here. Should we consider a Phase 1 environmental study. I think maybe what we ought to do is just listen to Mr. Nolan, see if he has some input.
Sure.
Then you can discuss it. But that brings you to where we came from at the last couple meetings.
That would be a good idea. I can speak. Thank you. My name is Peter Nolan. I'm an attorney at 1070 Main Street here in downtown Coventry. Before you this evening is a proposal that we deed 14.5 acres to the town of Coventry. That abuts Forest Ridge subdivision, which is a 10-lot cluster subdivision on the westerly side of Reed Schoolhouse Road. This 14 acres is really the back end of that 10-lot subdivision. It abuts the Mahoney Conservation Tract, which is, I think, between 75 and 85 acres. You can't get there from here, as they say. You cannot access that 70 or 80 acres. The only way you can do it is either by boat and go through wetlands, or if you were to accept this 14 acres, you will have access to the Mahoney Conservation. So it opens up that, it's between 70 and 85 acres, I understand it to be. So that is the proposal that's before you this evening. We have absolutely no knowledge of any pollution. Mr. Gorham referred to something about pollution. We have no knowledge of it. It's forest. I mean, there's nothing there. There's never been a gas station. There's never been oil drums or anything of that nature. If the town council in its wisdom says, you know what, thank you, but no thank you, we don't want it, then what we will do is we will deed it to the homeowners in that subdivision. There's going to be 10 lots, so each owner will own a 1/10 interest in the open space, and that's all it will remain is open space. It won't be open to the public. The way that we are proposing it to the town council, it will be open to the public. So it's whatever you think is in the best interest of the town. The developers will not finance a phase 1. They're just not going to spend the money. They will gladly put in a gravel right of way to the 14 acres. They'll gladly even prepare, let's say, a 4-space parking area of gravel, so somebody could pull in and park their vehicle. But that's the extent that they will go, and they will gladly deed it to you. I might add, the Land Trust voted very much in favor of it, of accepting it. The Planning Board made that a condition that we offer it to you. They've approved it in master plan and preliminary. We're waiting for final, but before we can get final, we have to come before you and ask you if you would like it. So that's what I'm here to do right this evening. So if you have any questions of me, I'm pleased to try to answer them. Mr. Studley is here, who's one of the developers. So.
I have a question.
Yes, am I
Mr.
right in
McGee.
saying, yeah, I mean, I appreciate the land. Of course, we'd love to have access to that Mahoney property,
Right.
you know. And I think the concern before was that there were a couple of violations. Apparently, there were tires or something to that effect stored on it. Okay. And that's been all remediated. I understand that. And we just wanted to be sure, you know, that we weren't taking on a hazardous dump.
Of course, you don't want to open up a can of worms and then say it's yours. Too bad.
And I understand, you know, that, but am I right in saying that the DEM would not have given a permit to do the project in the first place if there would have been any hazardous material or hazardous contaminated material in that site?
DEM was present when they dug, I think it was 20 10-foot holes in deep. And they were there. They supervised all of them. Not one iota of contamination whatsoever. Nothing. And so, obviously, we got soil suitability approval from DEM for the subdivision. Nothing.
All right, great. And this comes with a favorable recommendation from planning, and you know, I appreciate, you know, the builders wanting to give up this, you know, to have access to 75 acres.
You know, you can call it what you will, but it's a give back from Mr. Studley. His family's been in Coventry for eons, and so he said, you know, it'd be nice to. And if it opens up Mahoney,
Yeah, that's huge.
It's a lot of property back there.
yes, there is a lot of
Yeah.
property, but you can't get there from here, as they say.
Nope.
So, any other questions? Yes.
Mrs. Carlson?
I do have some information on it, but I know we have the chairman of the Land Trust. Mr. Underwood, do you have anything you'd like to add? Just since it's going to be under their purview.
Sure, absolutely.
If there's anything they want to discuss.
Glenn Underwood, 818 Hopkins Hollow Road. As Mr. Nolan said, this is a tremendous opportunity for the town. Our land trust, we did the walk on it. The access to the Mahoney property is really important. This will give us an opportunity to access land that, that the town already has, but presently you can't get there.
Need a helicopter.
So we are all strongly in favor of the town accepting the donation as proposed.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? I just have a question. You said DEM came out and did the drilling. Does the town have that in writing?
Well,
That
in order to
DEM did the drilling?
I'm sorry. In order to get the subdivision approval,
Yeah.
they had to submit that to the town. And
Okay, and Mr. Crossman, would we have a copy of that, the town, regarding? No.
He recused on
Oh,
the
Yeah.
planning board.
Yeah.
Got it, all right. I just wondered, does anybody know if we have the DEM approval in writing?
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, that's what I wanted to know, because
don't
the
know where
last
that
time
came
I
from.
said, just want to know it's clean, and if DEM has approved it, that would be hopefully clean.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, at least we have that to fall back on. Okay, do we have any other questions? Yeah, Mrs. Bacon?
I just have a question about the DEM. They did the soil testing in where the homes are being built.
That's right.
So nothing in the 14
No,
acres
they
that
don't
are.
go out to the whole.
So, okay, just the homes. So the 14 acres, though, we're still unsure. So DEM, no, I just want to make sure that DEM did not go out to the 14 acres.
And you're right.
So we're still not
Answer your
100%
question.
sure.
Well,
Okay.
close
No,
as
I
you're
just
ever
wanted
gonna
to
be.
know.
I
Thank you.
understand. I understand. It's a
All
valid,
right.
valid question.
Okay, so that's,
I do have some paperwork here from DEM that I think might help. I have the notice of intent to enforce from July of 2016, and I also have the release of violations on that property from May of 2017. So basically, May and August, it looks like they were compliant. There were drums, there were all kinds of debris. It was basically a tip that, but from what I've got in my hand, I think we know that DEM released the property.
That's my understanding.
Yes, gentlemen? Thank you, right, yeah, okay. So if we need to submit this to the town, I can always do that, but I've got some good information here.
You know, the good thing, too, is we're never going to build on that. We're never going to excavate it, even if there is soils that would be contaminated,
Well,
deep
you don't
down.
want contaminated
No, we
land,
don't. But my
period, no
point
matter
is,
what you're
I
doing
mean,
with it.
if there have been tires or something in the past, it's
Right.
not going to be enough contamination, to have an effect. We're
No,
not
we
going to
already
build.
have a
We just
Superfund site. you
Yeah,
know.
we don't want a Superfund site,
That
absolutely.
would be used for passive recreation.
Correct.
Walking, fishing, whatever.
Yeah, the violations that happened on that property were to the front end towards Reed Schoolhouse Road, which somebody took a path in there and started putting some construction debris. And
Well-
I'm actually the one that made the call to have our people look at it because the neighbors saw activity that was going on. But it only went back a short ways.
Well, it
and
was by
as
the
that paperwork-
house. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And as that paperwork shows, any of that was cleaned. I've walked the property. It is behind where the development is going is,
Yeah,
it's forest. It's all woods.
I've got before and after pictures too, so it has been cleared, yeah.
Exactly. So I am fully confident that there's no contamination back there. It's pristine property. It's it abuts the Mahoney Farm where they got grants. The grants were to pay for the development rights on that whole property, abutting it. So in other words, even though the houses are in front, it's still part of the same property that was just subdivided. All the acreage was the same acreage. And I have full confidence that this is a great piece of property for the town.
Can I just ask one more question? The parking spaces, who is going to take care of the parking spaces?
We are. The
Perfect.
developer is going to.
So it's not going to be DPW, another thing for us to worry about?
We're not going to maintain them. I mean, we're not going to plow it or anything in the winter.
That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I thought you meant who's going to install them.
Are these town roads? This is, because
No.
we don't allow private anymore,
No,
right?
this is not a town road.
These are town.
It's a town road in the subdivision.
Is it a town road, John? Yes, okay. So it is part, all right. That's it, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments of the council? I don't see a resolution in front of us, but I guess maybe the flavor of the council, if, I don't know, do we need a, that's what I'm asking. I don't see one.
It was a land donation letter that you were asked to approve.
Well, we have that, I think, right here.
But don't we have to then, by resolution, the land will go under the land trust as a donation?
Can-
It's not a town property, it's got to go to the land trust.
Well,
Right.
well, the
Correct?
town, well, the town owns all the property.
Well, it does, but there are
Again.
certain parcels that belong
That's why I
under the
asked.
land trust, is what I'm
Right. Well,
thinking.
the interest looks, again, I'm not quite sure the solicitor would tell us that because there's no money being exchanged at all, which is
Well,
usually
we've-
with the land trust.
Yeah, but we've had donated
Yeah.
properties,
Yep.
like the
Well, I think
one out in
the
Western
idea
that you can't
tonight
get
was
to.
to help them move this along.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
So-
That's
So
why
what do
I'm
we
asking.
need to
What,
do?
what you should do is vote to approve
Accept,
the land
approve.
donation
Okay,
letter, which is what's on the agenda. It says,
Okay.
request to accept land donation for open space.
yeah.
I think you should vote to accept it. It's on the calendar for discussion and action.
You're right.
Right.
So you should vote to accept it.
Accept the
And if we
letter.
have to, at a follow-up meeting, we can make sure the resolution is, we adopt it. Is that acceptable? I know your client is.
Thank you. No, that's
Okay. Well,
So-
with that being said, then I
will-
would like to, go ahead.
I'd like to make that motion, please.
I'd like to second it.
On that.
Okay, motion to accept the letter.
Accept the land.
And the land.
Land donation.
And seconded.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, and one no.
Thank you.
4 ayes,
Make sure it goes to the land trust.
no. Right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Nolan. All right, so D1, we're down now to E1. E1. Next on the agenda, yes, because we've already done
Yeah, we went by.
E2 and
we
3.
went by that.
So E1,
If I could, Mr. President.
yes, Mr.
This
Delaney.
is, this resolution relates to a grant that the Recreation Department got for $98,000 for improvement to the parks, including tennis and the tennis court area. The question arose earlier on the match portion of it.
Right.
And there was a question of how the match would be made. The regulations of the grant indicate that it can be what they call in-kind, where staff time and expenses that are not paid through the grant or reimbursed through the grant can be considered as part of the match. And that will, so it doesn't involve any additional outlay on the part of the town budget other than what's already budgeted, and it's a match against the grant. So the request is that if you so choose to authorize me to sign the grant on behalf of the council.
Okay.
It's a
And
very nice
it's-
grant for the town.
I
was gonna
reviewed
say.
the agreement, and it's acceptable.
I make a motion to accept the grant.
Second.
It's great
Okay,
getting grants.
resolution is on the back page, page 64. So a motion has been made to accept and second. Right, it's attached, page 64.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, accepted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3.
Okay, now we're down to E4, Mr. Delaney.
E4 is the town manager search. 76, let me get the right page here. I put this before you, not that I want to depart, but that the council needs to be thinking about permanent town manager. And there are really several options which I've detailed for you. You don't necessarily need to act on this tonight, but something for you to think about. There's really several options. You can do the search in-house. We've tried initially, we've done some initial advertising. We started shortly after I arrived through the usual municipal websites, state websites, and also through ICMA and the Washington newsletter that goes out to the city and town managers. We've gotten a fairly limited response, probably about a dozen candidates through that avenue. And I'd say probably a couple or three, maybe less than half, certainly would I consider qualified to come before you for your consideration. Another option is whether or not you'd like to use a consultant to try and help fill the position. And you could do a formal RFP and invite consultants in if you choose to go that route. Or I've taken the liberty of also getting a quote. I've done some quotes already. And the quote in your packet is from a company called MRI, which is conducting the search in Westerly. And I thought that would be an advantage, given the pool of candidates might be similar. MRI is a very reputable firm from the town that I worked in Danvers. They also did the town manager search in Danvers. They're based out of New Hampshire, but they're a very reputable firm. There's a couple other quotes that I got too. Their pricing is pretty much right in the same ballpark because they're all competing against one another for the search. So it's kind of food for thought before you, just something to think about, or you can move on it tonight. Your call in terms of what you'd like to do, but I wanted to at least get this on your radar.
Okay, I know we have that package in front of us. Don't know the feelings of the council members. My question is on the amount. Even if we wanted to go with MRI, with a reputable and working in Westerly, which is a pretty influential city, with that amount, would it have to go to bid? Or could we just possibly vote to...
Well, it's professional services, so...
It is professional services.
Prudent
That's what I was
purchasing
wondering. Okay.
would call for at least a quote, which I've done.
Right.
I've gotten 3.
I see. Okay. All right, well, that's it. Professional services again, which is something where we don't have to go out to general bid. So I'm open for suggestions on whether we want to get a professional to help out the town, bring in more applicants so we can make a more definite decision.
I have a quick question, Mr. Delaney. You said you had sent out some to the IACMA and you got a few resumes, but you're only getting several back that you think would be qualified. So you're not getting...
It's a limited response. I'm not quite sure why. We got a little better response on the finance director position. We did the same route. We thought, as you recall, we were considering using an outside consultant, a headhunter, if you would. But we were able to secure a candidate without, so we avoided that expense. We can continue with this as is for a while and see if we get some good ones. We could, your choice of how you want to proceed.
Well, at what point in time do you think, it's critical that we actually make a move on this? Right now, you're in there.
I mean, if you think about in Westerly, I mean, the timeline they're looking at in here in Westerly, they're looking at 3 to 4 months from the start of the project to the time of they would expect to have a placement. That's a pretty good chunk of time. You're now looking out probably toward the fall to get someone in here.
And you're only here for 180 days, so we need to move
One
and
month
have something.
tomorrow.
One month
the 30th
tomorrow.
of April.
So within the next month, we would need to be making a move.
I would think.
All right.
And,
Thank you.
It being June, time's going to be even going faster.
I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but we certainly,
But we saved it on the finance director
yes, we
spot,
did, and
which is big.
we certainly want a well-qualified person with
Which is even
everything
bigger.
going on.
Right.
Just to clarify, just so folks know that the fee structure for this, the base fee for this firm would be $18,500,
Right.
plus expenses, which they would estimate at probably around $3,000. So that's the ballpark of what you're looking at. It's consistent with other bids that I've looked at, and the other quotes that I got. It's probably mid to a little bit on the higher side of the midpoint of what I've got.
Mr.
Could you
Delaney,
repeat that fee again?
The base fee is $18,500.
Oh, I thought you said 8, because I'm reading
No, 18,500 plus expenses
Plus 3.
Related to it. They estimate that at about $3,000.
All right.
Okay, Mrs. Carlson?
I'm not really surprised that you didn't get a lot of qualified candidates. We didn't last time. We are very specific in the charter as to what qualifications a candidate must have, and I think that's a good way to go. I mean, I think, obviously that's very good. Do you think that possibly this could be because of the financial town meeting coming up, and maybe we'd get more after people see what happens with that?
We certainly could do that.
I mean, we might not have gotten as many.
It's kind of the perfect storm. There's a lot of vacancies around. There are a number of vacancies in Massachusetts that's drawing some of the pool. You have the added challenge that Westerly has an optional residency requirement. You have a residency requirement for the manager. That may limit the pool a little bit. You never quite know on the process here, but as I said, at least I wanted to get you some information to be thinking about it, and at least we can keep the wheels moving a little bit on it.
The other issue is whether or not we go out with an RFP for vendors. I have to say that, and I think pretty much a consensus of opinion for those of us who were doing this the last time, a couple of years ago, we didn't think a whole lot of the headhunter. We didn't think we got value for our money as far as the work he did on it. I personally would rather see us have a little competition. I mean, MRI may be great.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just trying to do the groundwork for you.
No, I understand.
We could easily do an RFP and put it out for your next meeting if you'd like.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
I mean, I think competition's good.
It's not a problem at all. There's probably, I chose 3 firms that I was familiar with. There's at least a half a dozen firms that you could draw from. I chose 3 that I knew had pretty solid reputations, and I can easily put an RFP together and put it out if you'd like.
Something like this is not something that I'm looking for the lowest bidder. We were not happy with the last firm that we hired, and so I definitely would love to hire somebody who has had experience. You've had experience with some of these companies, from word of mouth, that they've had good response from them. That's the kind of company that I would like to hire, rather than just look for the lowest bidder on a decision like this.
Well, the 3 that I asked for quotes from, I'm familiar with each of them, and each of the 3 are very good. There are more. I quickly got the 3 just to get some ballparks to get before you what you have tonight. Yeah, they're close. They run from anywhere from, say, 16 to 17,000 to 24,000. They're all because they're all being competitive, realistically. And there are, like I said, there's a number of manager jobs open. So the pool is a very competitive pool that's out there right now. So how you market this community is going to make a difference in terms of candidates you attract. And I'm always optimistic. It only takes one good one. So we hope that good one's going to come in through the door. So.
Well, I guess it would, if we're going to delay it, it would be 7 more weeks. Mr. Delaney would go search for more. I'm kind of comfortable personally with the 3 that Mr. Delaney has experience with and have contacted. And this one, this MRI, they've expressed an interest, correct?
All 3 have.
All 3 have, okay.
I asked MRI to do a
proposal.
Formal, because they were already working in Westerly.
Westerly, right.
And the proposal mirrors what they've done in Westerly.
Right. And again, Westerly, it's a city that is fairly influential down there. I know from the time I've lived in Rhode Island since 1969, and I think if they're satisfied with them, I'm personally comfortable with the recommendation to get going on it. It's the money we've saved, not having to pay a headhunter for financial director. That's good. And as far as the money goes, Mr. Delaney, I would assume we would have that available to, if we wanted to go ahead.
Yes.
It's available, the money.
It would be out of contingency.
Okay. So we could basically, if we have enough people supporting it, to get it going. Here it is a day or two away from June. And again, whether it does take 3 or 4 months to go through the process, 1 month gone, 3 to 4 months, that's getting close to the 6 months. And
Perhaps we could see what the other two companies have to say?
It's fine.
Just ask
sure.
for an RFP.
Yeah, we could do
I-
that.
knows?
No,
That's okay.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I mean,
They're
we-
presently doing the Westerly one?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, maybe we can get a two-for pricing out of them, you know?
Well, all right. I
Two
mean,
for
I mean,
Rhode
we
Island,
could,
I
we could
suppose.
make our decision at the next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
and
an RFP
I can,
to the
I can,
companies
I
or
can get the other two if you'd like
Yeah.
them to come in and do a
That'd be
presentation, we can do
Yeah.
that.
That would be great.
That'd
Okay.
be great.
possibly that'd be even
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're not in a row. I mean, I'd like to think towards the end of June, we should start
At
making
our
decisions.
next
So,
meeting in
yeah,
June.
by the next
I mean, a meeting
right.
after the financial town.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that will
Great.
be the. Yeah, the 26th or something, whatever that is. Okay. If you could do that, Mr. Delaney,
Yep, I'll
for
take care
us,
of it.
and we thank you for your good work so far. I guess it would be, the 25th, I think we're thinking of. Okay. Very good. All right. So, we will go to the next one. We have E5, I believe, is the next matter. Would you, Colonel, you want to make this presentation, or Mr. Delaney? Who would like to introduce it to begin with?
I think the uniformed gentleman at the mic could probably do it
Yes,
better than I can.
Okay. Good evening, Colonel.
Evening.
So, we have the information in front of us, but just to fill us in a little bit more.
Sure. As you can see from what you were given in your packets, we started this process to look at our uniforms when I first took over as chief in 2015. So it's been about a 2-year saga of trying to, find a uniform option that matched our color. So the details of that are kind of in here. And we arrived at a point about a year ago where we realized we wouldn't be able to keep the same color that we have now. But you can see, from the details, this overvest option and the material itself is a new, and really a lot of law enforcement across the country are going to it. It's a breathable fabric. It's more durable. It's better for road work. These uniforms we have here, reminiscent of the Civil War days. Wool, get a little hot in the summer. So the outer vest option, you can take off a vest inside. When you're working inside the PD, you can just remove that vest with a quick, zipper, and it represents a really good option. It won't come at any cost to the town. We're going to use forfeiture funds that we have existing to do the transition. We'll keep these uniforms as our dress uniform for probably several years. As I have had experiences in the military, when they change over their camouflage, they have a wear-out date. So our road tactical uniform would be this black with a gray piping, and then we would keep this as our formal wear. And then over time, we would maybe look at an option down the road to transition to a Class A, a different Class A.
Is that uniform black by the picture? Is it black? Or
It is
dark blue?
black.
It is black, okay.
And actually, we used to have black uniforms about 30 years ago. Someone sent us a picture of Detective Winslow wearing one in the 80s. So it wasn't always gray. At one point, we were green. Very long time ago, we had a green color.
And I remember the green ones back when I was a kid, way
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Now, these uniforms, there's no summer, winter uniforms?
They are summer weight, but they're both wool. So
That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's really not a great option as far as. And we tried hard to get Blower to come around to our color. They just did not bite on it. They have so much work because nationwide a lot of people are going to it, so they have this standard color. And so we would go out to an RFP too to see if we get the best price on.
It's half the price what you're paying now.
It is. It's going to represent a savings initially for our purchases for new officers, and then our officers will benefit because they'll be able to buy more and have more available.
If you're happy with it, I'm happy with it.
I think it looks good. I think it's functional. It'll be we call it tactical and practical, but we'll keep the formal wear too, at least for a couple of years.
You didn't enjoy your wool uniform out there, Tim?
I did not when I was out at the memorial ceremonies. Actually, it was a little cold, so it kept me warm over the weekend. But we think it's a good And we also embarked on a patch to upgrade and change our patch. We actually worked with some of the kids at the high school on this, and we didn't rush it. We went through a lot of iterations. We used the town symbol as our kind of inspiration, but we changed it just a little bit, and we brought in the motto of strength, honor, and integrity, which we really like. And we're going to put that as part of our mission statement when we transition to the new patch.
Okay, any other questions? If not, we have the resolution, the back page, page 92. So, and again, you will go out to bid, but you...
That's what this is for, to allow you
I'll
to
come
go out
back.
to bid.
I'll come back
Approximately
before council.
14.5 is what you think.
And,
All right,
we'll bring the
so
quotes.
does anyone want to approve the
Motion
resolution?
to approve.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Good luck with it. Next, we have, well, do we have E6? Has anything come in on that as far as the resolution?
Yep. I think that was already handed out.
No,
No,
it hasn't been handed out.
We have them here.
Okay. Thank you. More copies than we need, I guess.
Can you pass one back?
Yeah, one back. I thought so. There you go.
I only need one. That's all right.
Nick, what is the difference between this and the military exemption that's already on the
Can I make a statement on that one?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I've been trying for the last several years to, with Representative Nunes, to pass a bill. We've been getting pushback from the appraisers up at the State House trying to get a bill. Because you're a member of the National Guard, you do not get the same exemption as an active duty or former military. And that's really an insult to the people that are reserves. in the
Really?
National-
Because
Yeah.
I did that resolution
I have a
like the
different-
first year I was on council.
I'm actually one of them.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I have a different DD 214 than an active duty
Oh,
person
really?
would. So they're not entitled, and I've had a lot of people, retired National Guard people call me and ask, why can't we get the same exemption?
Interesting.
And like I said, it's really an insult to anybody who's put 20 years in the National Guard.
It is.
And is not
It is.
receiving that benefit. And we just keep getting pushback in the state. Now, 3 years in a row, I've tried to get that passed with Representative Nunes, and we've been, I even went up to the State House and testified on this bill, and we couldn't get it to pass. Yeah.
Just for clarification, it's a $1,000 exemption on value. It's not a $1,000.
No, it's peanuts.
tax
It really,
credit.
Right.
that alone is
It's
an
a very-
insult. I mean,
it's
if your house is
about
worth $200,000 and you're paying $24 per thousand, I mean, you're looking at $1,000. It's $2.50.
with that.
It's really an
It's a
insult. I mean, they
gesture,
should.
but it's an important gesture.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly,
stop,
yeah.
but it's
Okay.
still. What is the? I haven't had a chance to read this. Really, what is the active duty military exemption at this time? I think it's like 20,000 or something. To
Oh,
that
God,
effect.
no. It's 9.
Should be in this.
Yeah, I haven't. We just got this, so I haven't had a chance to read it. I don't recall. I know I've read it before, but.
It should be in the law itself. Right?
And even that, when you're taking $9,000 or $10,000, if that's what you say it is, off the price of your house,
It's significantly more, but it's still not a lot.
yeah,
So,
it's a stop.
Anyway.
I guess it's a stop.
no, I'm saying the active military, but this would,
Who proposed this, or how did this come about? 'Cause I don't know.
the representative's assistant, I think, contacted the town clerk's office and wanted to know if we had passed a resolution supporting this legislation of Representative Nunes, the perennial legislation, which is H 7791 this year. And we didn't find that he had asked for a resolution, so we thought, the president thought we should at least get this before the council as the legislative session is getting close to ending.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Representative
Within
Nunes did
2
say
weeks,
if we got a town resolution, that he could get it done, and the state has a Coventry-specific resolution done for
Right.
us.
This
But
is
I just think
Yeah, and it's on
that the National Guard should be entitled to the same veterans exemption as anybody else. They're still veterans, and they just recently passed a law with the Army and the federal government that they're definitely considered veterans if people weren't considering them veterans before. It just recently passed last month. So, I mean, $1,000 is really an insult.
Why don't you make the motion?
Yeah, because we do have Coventry listed, it's on page 8, but that is the active duty,
And
armed
what
forces,
is it?
not National Guard. So the addition would be the 3 lighter lines underlined. That would be including National Guard for not less than 5 consecutive years, or if they get called to duty. And that would be the addition to the bill. A lot of other cities and towns are listed, but that would be us, including the National Guard, for, again, $1,000, which is no more than $25 less. Okay,
That motion.
make a motion. Mr. McGee, you wanted to
Yeah,
pass
I
this
would like
resolution?
to, I mean, I would really like, that's what I'm gonna make the motion that we have the same exemption,
Yes.
because this is our chance to do this. I mean, even though it's not
needs to
written in stone that
match
we have to do
the other-
$1,000, it should match the same as a regular military person, active duty, had put in, we should
Well,
have the
it is.
same
It is.
veterans
It is.
exemption.
It's right in there. I just referred
Says
to the
that.
point.
No, I-
That's not the way it reads.
It's not the way it is.
$1,000.
Can I just make a
Yes,
little
please
insight
do.
here? All you're doing is passing a resolution to support
The bill.
a piece of legislation. You can't change the legislation. You'd have to ask Representative Nunes to put a new bill in.
Then do we,
So
it's
all
set
you're
in stone.
doing,
Yeah,
all
this
you're
is not
doing
our
is
town, this is on the
endorsing the
state.
bill.
This is a
But it
state
was
level.
Coventry specific, though, I
State.
thought.
It is.
It
It's
says
a-
$1,000 for
I think
active.
the strategy by
Coventry
Representative
right now says
Nunes
$1,000.
this year was,
Right here.
instead of trying to go statewide with it, he
Correct.
narrowed it to Coventry. That's a common strategy, thinking, you start with Coventry and build from there, perhaps.
Well, yeah,
So-
if we can't change it, with the state, at least we gotta start, we gotta start.
All
here,
the
so-
resolution does is endorse
Endorses the
and
bill.
supports and asks that your endorsement and support of
Mm-hmm.
the bill be distributed at the State House.
I'd like to make that resolution.
Okay, and a second?
Motion, I'm sorry, I'm hesitant, yeah.
You made a motion, and we have seconded. Mrs. Carlson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Very good, and lastly, I think we have
Appointments.
E7, yes. Appointments. Now, let's see, we have the first one, if I could make it out, would be the sewer subcommittee.
Yep.
Sewer subcommittee is the first one. E7, page 93. So,
Okay,
what is the
Well,
pleasure?
The pleasure is to, I'll make a motion to appoint Kate Whittinghill to the
Okay.
permanent, or the full-time sewer subcommittee position, which she's at this time in the alternate position. And
Okay.
I'm just going to make her the full-time
And I
member.
would second that.
Very good. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Congratulations, and if you would be so kind to come forward one more time, as I try to get down. Or briefcases.
It's treacherous.
Running the gauntlet.
Yeah, if you would be so kind, to just, right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful to the state, support the laws and constitution thereof, and that you will well and truly execute the duties and responsibilities as a member of the sewer subcommittee for the term which you were appointed or until another be engaged in your place, so help you God? Congratulations. Thank you for trying to help us out.
It's a pleasure.
Good going.
One more.
Well, we do have one more, yeah. The next resolution would be on the Coventry Zoning Board. We have the resolution before us. And what is the recommendation of the council as far as the appointment
Mr.
goes?
President, I'll make a motion that we appoint Keith J. Cloutier, to the alternate position on the Zoning Board of Review.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded for Mr. Keith J. Cloutier to be an alternate member on the unexpired term that expiring May 31st of 2019. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No. Any, okay, one opposed. All right. Whoa. Okay, so, and the other one we are going to
Yes.
postpone. We're going to not vote on that tonight. Okay. So that brings us,
Is Mr. Cloutier here or not?
Mr. Cloutier, are you here tonight?
Yes, he is. I thought he
Oh,
was.
okay, I'm glad you reminded me to ask, of course. If you could be so kind to come on up. I didn't see you initially, but there was a few people out there. Just watch your step, and if you could be so kind to raise your right hand. Okay, do you solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful to the state, support the laws and constitution thereof, and that you will well and truly execute the duties and responsibilities as a member of the Zoning Board of Review for the term which you were appointed or until another be engaged in your place, so help you God. Congratulations, and again, thank you. Very important.
Keith.
Huh?
Thank you. Okay, next, F. F on the agenda, which would be general public comment. General public comment. Anyone is interested at this time? Mr. Warzika, did you have something to say?
Yes.
Come on out.
Kate Whittinghill, 586 Old Main Street. I do have a question about the discussion on town manager. Did you say that there were some people that showed interest and that they could be interviewed? Was that the first thing that you said?
I said that we've received about a dozen applicants, and I would say probably less than half, from my judgment, would be suitable or worth interviewing.
So my comment would be, could they be interviewed before we consider spending more money towards other options? That's just something I wanted to ask. I believe that this property that's being donated is going to be fun. We're going to have a great time with it. And you mentioned that it has not been tested by DEM. Would that be something that the town... The 14 acres, not the 14 acres. The 14 acres have not been tested. Would that be something that would be tested then, so that if we're walking around?
Has got other invoices coming in, and
Right.
probably not, it's just my guess.
Not at this time,
Not at
but
this
maybe
time.
in the future.
And once we hit the lottery, yes.
Yeah, I
would
hear
like
that one.
I wanted it
as
to
well.
begin with, yes.
I hear that as well. Which also is just one more comment that I do have to say. Hitting the lottery is not something that's going to happen, I'm sure.
You got it.
Right.
I don't think so.
There has been much discussion about money in this town. Much. One thing that I agree with that you mentioned, Karen, last time was tightening our belts. I'm going to joke around just a little bit to make a point. On June 9th of this coming month, I'll be 65 years old. I was raised by parents their parents went through the Depression. I know how to save a penny very well. We have seen the mismanagement of monies that just needs to be corrected. I am not going to play a blame game anymore. I am not going to play a shame game anymore. I'm done with all of that and listening to that. I'm done with it. For the next few years, my thinking goes like this. Food, shelter, clothing are important. They're necessary. They're necessary. When you take a look at that guy in that picture over there on the wall, they're necessary. This is a town that has built itself. I've only been here 12 years. It's built itself with their hands. Okay. There are grants. Get a grant writer. There's taxes. Nobody wants taxes going up right now. Okay. I've already talked to Greg about a couple of solutions that we could discuss about the sewers. Okay. About infusing some cash into this town. It was mentioned at one point that we not only have a money problem, we have a people problem on both sides of this. And if we don't have a good team, we're not going to get anywhere. And if it means even, I'll go to an extreme just to prove a point. If it means getting out pencil and paper and books, if it means looking at low income and high income and making it fair for all, and making our priorities the basics so that we can get ourselves back on track. And listen to people, like when we were talking about the receivership, and a lady raises her hand and says, my husband will crush that pile of rocks in 2 weeks for you, not 3 to 4 years. These are the things that bring this community together, is a guy that'll do that for us, not just relying on grants and taxes and things like that. So I do hope that you put these kind of comments in the minutes, and I do hope you approve these minutes, because it's something that we all have to participate in. And I think we're all willing to do it if we'll just let go of some of the other crap and just work together.
Okay,
so thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Public comment? Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Ron Gizzarelli, 50 Harrington Road. I rise tonight, Mr. President. This opportunity to speak with the town council is important. I've been in many times over the years, as you know, and many of you know me. I've been trying to champion flood insurance problem with Tioga Lake, which many of you know about. I've dropped off many documents over the last year and a half, including foreclosure threats by mortgage companies, including 2 I know on the lake that have been foreclosed on, senior citizens, sick, handicapped that weren't able to pay and ended up getting foreclosed on. And even those who lose a spouse, and I mentioned it before, they're living on $800 or $900 a month and they can't afford to pay it. And that's causing big problems. So we have a lot of older people around our lake at Lake Tioga that really would like to see this changed. And after all the research I've done and all the information I've passed on to many of our Tioga Lakes Association members, they're trying to have faith in me to have this done respectfully as soon as possible. And is in that direction, we've had some conversations back and forth, as you guys have had, the former town manager and our present interim town manager, and I've had several discussions with our town solicitor regarding it. I had one with you quite some time ago. I was trying to do that without need for your involvement. But I was hoping that something could happen. I have in my hand a letter from the former town manager, January 24th, Graham Waters, who said that the town was interested in following up on unanimously when they signed a resolution, I think it was dated January 7th, that it was, I believe it was unanimous, that they thought this was an issue that should be looked into, because our lake has never had anyone ever flooded since 1870, when it was backed up for as a swamp for the mill owners going down Patuxent River to try to, in case they needed water in the summer drought seasons, so they could throw the old pumper trucks, hoses in there and put out fires in the mills. For some reason, no one's ever followed up on that. We've got hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been paid by waterfront and watershed owners of property around Tioga Lake. And we feel that it's way overdue, that should be looked into, and give information to Congressman Langevin. Congressman Langevin can't work with FEMA and Loma until he has additional information. I've contacted our town engineer, Bob Joyle, several times about it, including last week when I think Langevin's office contacted him again on research that needs to be done with your records, including some old letters and an important one in 1979 to 81 where the lake was looked at and it was considered by the Army Corps of Engineers when all the floods were happening nationwide, and they wanted everybody to start being heavy on getting flood insurance when it wasn't that popular years ago. But the federal government, the states, and insurance companies are tired of losing a lot of money because of that, as we know with global warming that nobody wants to believe. But I'm saying to you that can't we get something moving on this in the sense that it's been 4 months now, and that information, for whatever reason, don't seem to have been sent to Congressman Langevin, so we can start to work with FEMA and Loma to get that done, Mr. President. Thank you. It's way overdue. Please.
Mr. Gorham's got address it briefly. Comment.
Thank you, Mr. Gizzarelli. I'm looking at an email that I received last Friday from Congressman Langevin's office. They are discussing the very issues you're talking about with Bob Joyle, the town manager, involving the historical perspective you're talking about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, anyone else? Yes, come on up.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. Leo Reptakis, 2080 New Snake Hill Road. Just to follow up, I'm glad I heard what you just said, Mr. Gorham, but we still didn't get any correspondence. So the last time I talked to Congressman Langevin, we haven't received any correspondence from you. The last time I was here, you said you...
I sent you an email.
I didn't get it. I did not receive the email. So that's news to me about last Friday. So
okay.
we want to keep that loop open.
I
Again,
apologize, Senator. If you want me to forward you this email right now, I'm happy to do it. What's your address?
my address should be right on your website.
Well, all right. I'll
give it to you. It's public.
There's nothing exclusive about it.
But we haven't received it.
You know,
So-
I made the effort. You watched me send you an email.
I just heard what the resident just said, Ron Gizzarelli. But again, when I was here last time, about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I said again, keep us in the loop, Representative Serp and I. And again, you failed to do that. I mean, it's so easy, punching the email, sending us the correspondence. And I'm asking you again, one more time, to keep us in the loop. In the last discussion I had with Jim Langevin's office, again, you still have to provide that information, and so they can move forward and work with FEMA to alleviate the problem on Lake Tioga. We're just running around in circles.
I got it Friday afternoon, and
Okay.
I'll send it to you now. Okay, it's
That is
Tuesday after
great
Memorial
news.
Day. I apologize you didn't get it, but I will send it to you now.
And to Representative
All right.
Serpa.
And Representative Serpa.
Great.
I will do that.
Also, Mr. President and members of the Town Council, again, I'm going to request that the residents at Harris Mill, that this item be put on the agenda. As you know, that the fire marshal has found 21 violations in that complex. A report was issued by the fire marshal's office. The Department of Health has met with various parties at the Rhode Island State House last week to discuss Harris Mills. The EPA has also done that, so we're still waiting a response from you when your next town council meeting will be after June 12th, that we can have the residents of the Harris Mills complex come in front of this body, their town council, to discuss the issues that are happening at the mill.
Okay, that has been addressed. I don't know if we want to briefly go into that one as far as why it wouldn't be
On the agenda.
held in public on litigation and all the other things that are coming.
And also
In other words, a lot of the complainants are the litigants, and I don't want to discuss it. You want to call me? I think I've offered that many, many times instead of up here, public comment.
Well, there are
I think there are reasons, and we could talk to you about them, Senator.
Sure, but there
All
are
right?
state
Yeah,
agencies that
that's-
are discussing
got
it currently, so
Then
they
let 'em- okay.
they don't have a problem with
Right.
that there's litigation going on. So
Okay.
that's very, very important. And then basically, those are the
Got it.
major issues. We know that, by the way, I just want to inform you that tomorrow the Rhode Island Senate is passing a major piece of legislation regarding the Coventry sewer program. So it's going to be S-2020 sub A. And I'm not sure if you were informed about the
No,
content of the legislation. No?
No, that's all right. No, we haven't been informed, and usually we find out the day before. Again, I think you know at least my feeling on that
Sure.
proposal, and we're already in tough shape financially.
I understand.
That baby would be the death toll.
Oh.
And I guess we could call it the Senator Reptaka's tax because it's going to be paid for.
That's
It's just,
that's your.
well,
I
in
think
other
we should
words,
call it the
somebody
town
has to
council
pay
tax.
that. So
I think you should make those accusations,
I'm
Mr.
just
President.
saying
Be ashamed of
we're
yourself
not in favor
for
of that
making
bill.
those
I'm not.
accusations.
All right.
The Reptaka's tax. You should
Well-
be ashamed of yourself.
Well, let me put it this
Seriously.
way. The bill is going to get paid for,
Yeah.
all right? The
Sure.
bill's going to get paid for, and that bill would not allow it to be paid for unless somebody sells their
Well,
home.
I've
Is that
been here for 11 months, and
All
you've
right.
been in favor of the sewer program that you've known from day one that it's
Thank
not.
you for your comments.
not
I
the
think-
right,
I think the
program.
3 minutes is up. Thank you.
I want to thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Lastly, the General Assembly is going to probably wrap it up in about another 30 days, so I guess
I think sooner.
you never met with the delegation again, as I've asked you many times.
We've
We
been
met back in December, so,
We haven't been a little busy,
well,
to
well,
say the least.
again,
But
a lot
thanks
of
for your
important
comments.
issues. Thank you.
Always can depend on you. All right. All right, any other person for general public comment before we get ready to adjourn? Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Lucas Murray, 121 Hill Farm Camp Road. I want to thank Ms. Whittinghills for her temperate comments on the community level. I think they were well-spoken. Two things. One is the search for the town manager. As you know, URI, or may not know, URI has an MPA program, which I'm actually currently in and halfway through. Aaron Lay is the dean of that program. Bob Wagon actually just retired from the program, but it's a good program. I'd encourage you to cast the net locally. As you know, a lot of these jobs are transient, and there are a lot of people looking for hops through towns to move up the ladder. We spend a lot of money on a town manager. We spend a lot of time executing a contract. We saw in this last round, we got somebody, I believe he's from Delaware. He came in, hopped pretty quick. And this is a pretty common thing that happens through communities. I know the inclination is to go out there and do a nationwide search, whatever you want to do. But I think people's heart who understand Rhode Island and understand the community dynamics here would work well to be able to hit the ground running. Second thing, it's $8,000 on the exemption. I'm a veteran, and I'd gladly give it back if I could get the school situation straightened out, because my daughter's teacher is getting laid off. It's been heartbreaking to go to these meetings. I understand the larger issue with the funding. This is not an easy thing. However, I put a public information request in last week for town financials. I want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. My wife is the assistant finance director for town of North Kingstown. I want to look at the numbers. First, I had to write a check for $285 for the 20 hours he said it would take. I ran the amount of hours along with my request past both my wife and the former finance director for the town of Westerly, who I know, who both said that those financial statements could be done for probably under an hour. I got a request today to extend that request another 30 days, which that's not the law. It's another 20 days per Rhode Island general law above the 10 to kind of drag it out. And they'd be happy to refund my check if I don't want to proceed. I asked them to proceed. I asked them to give me what they can in a certain amount of time. I'm asking this body to help push that along. If you want residents to be engaged in part of the process and helpful, then you need to help us be engaged in the process. You open up public comment for a reason, and I'm here asking for your help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Kate Whittinghill, 586 Old Main Street. It was also suggested to me this week that possibly we should look at consolidating positions in this town, save some salary money. Okay. What I'm trying to say in general is is that if my tax money is being used to hire people to do this work, and if you don't have the tax money coming in because eventually someone's going to just not pay, we don't want to go down that road. Okay? So if we consolidated jobs, if we take monies back from people, if people are willing to work with this, if we have a continued moratorium or a delay to sewers, if we work these things out, we have to balance this budget first before we buy anything else. So how do we do it? We do it by consolidating things. We do it by tightening belts. We just get these people together who are being paid to do this for the next 2 or 3 years and then become successes like Detroit, Gary, Indiana, Central Falls, West Warwick, who's still struggling. There are towns, cities across this nation that have been in our boots and have come out of it. But it takes tightening the belts before we can spend more money. It's
Thank
that
you.
simple.
I
So
agree.
let's not make it that complicated.
I'm frugal. You got it. Thank
Well,
you.
then let's be frugal for the whole town and,
Yes,
and correct
I
the
understand.
mistakes. There you go.
Yep, consolidate. We can look into that. Anyone else? Yes, one more time. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. LeBlanc will be after. I didn't see.
Thank you again, Ron Gizzarelli, 50 Harrington Road. Being the union rep for this town for many years as Deputy Director of Council 94 and also their business agent for a while, there's nothing wrong with all kinds of research, Mr. President, but consolidation in a lot of times is called a speed up. That's a form of slavery. I've been all through it in the courts and in arbitration cases, won them all. Because when you try to speed up people, you're supposed to give them the raises that go along with it if they're willing to do that kind of work. We've had a lot of that going on in state hospitals, especially at the medical center years ago. And we had the attendance union. We used to be almost out on informational picketing every 2 or 3 months. So I'm saying I'm not opposed to that, but I found out with all my research over the years, and it's not current, but we were one of the most efficient towns in the state with all the work that we got done for the square miles and the taxpayers and the residents of the town of any of the other 39 cities in town, the other 38 cities in town. So I'm saying if we do some consolidation, we ought to research it very carefully so we don't exploit people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yes. Next. Hello.
Hi, James LeBlanc, 43 Hazard Street. I just want to address a couple of things. Mr. McGee, you started this meeting with a speech about how the students in the sewers, that they're just not related. But general funds have been used for the sewers for a very long time. A town hall annex building was used for sewers. 2.8 million in 16 was used for sewers. So for you to say that they're not connected, those funds clearly could not have gone in the sewers and gone somewhere else. So potentially, yes, the schools could have got more money. President Shibley, you just called it a reptacus tax. So
I'm saying if that bill passes.
Hang on one second. You were on the sewer subcommittee.
I was.
And you
at
have
one
voted
time
for the sewer expenses
for
a very long
tried to
time.
Raise the prices.
Mr. LeBossinaire,
Yep.
you were on the Amgen agreement in 2003. You were on the intermunicipal agreement with West Warwick. That has cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Mr. McGee, you've been on the sewer subcommittee since 2010. So for you to blame Raptakis when he's trying to protect us is ludicrous. He is not signing the checks. He is not making the votes.
Right.
You all are.
There you
That's
go.
all I have to say.
Thank you. All right, motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion? All right, second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Good evening, everyone.
I'm gonna send Louis email.